For this Jing, I will focus on the importance of class evaluations and how the different elements of class evaluations can be used to help teachers improve. All college students are familiar with course evaluations, but I would venture to guess that nobody views them as having educational value. Mikichi focuses a lot of his article on this subject. One interesting point he makes is in regard to the ethics of course evaluations. I like how he states the obvious, essentially saying that students are paying for each and every minute spent in higher learning classrooms, so evaluations must not be a waste of a student's time and therefore must be of educational value. To do this, Mikichi claims that educational institutions must purposefully utilize evaluations to encourage students to think about their own educational experiences to develop clearer conceptions of the kinds of teaching and educational experiences that contribute most to their learning. Mikichi goes on to say that evaluation should be educational in the highest sense, helping students gain a better understanding of the goal of education, stimulating them to think metacognitively about their own learning, motivating them to continue learning, and encouraging them to accept responsibility for their learning. When I read this portion of the article, I thought to myself, this is not how evaluations have ever been presented to me. In fact, most professors I've had usually include a message at the end of the course saying something like, "Don't forget to complete the course evaluation form." As I read further, Mikichi addresses those exact thoughts of mine when he said, "I believe that we could do a much better job introducing these educational objectives for filling out the rating forms." One solution he suggested was including discussions with students to sensitize them to evaluating their own learning. I believe he is right. I also believe this important opportunity for educational institutions is being ignored at the peril of their students. In my opinion, the learning opportunities presented by class evaluations should be established and presented as a distinct set of learning objectives that is included in every class. This way, professors at an institution can consistently inform their students why they are completing the evaluation and how they can learn and grow from taking part in the evaluation. Once this norm is established, evaluations will have more value for the students involved as well as the institutions that collect the results. As for the results, Mikichi describes the nightmarish scenario that exists at many institutions and how the evaluation results are primarily used to focus on the negatives, thus creating a negative atmosphere that surrounds the results of such evaluations. I won't dive into that subject in my Jing, but I will offer my opinion in regard to how teachers can improve their ability to teach based on the results of any given evaluation. I must first say how pleased I was to hear Mikichi say that every teacher can learn to be better, with no exceptions. At the high school I teach at, there are groups of teachers that would beg to differ with this statement of his. As a result, these same teachers are selling their students short due to their own pride or ignorance. Going back to class evaluations, Mikichi refers to many different aspects and characteristics of teachers, often referring to research such as Marsh's 9 dimensions that defines 9 characteristics and attributes that appear in almost every course evaluation of a teacher. He synthesizes Marsh's list into 2 overarching categories: teacher empathy and professional maturity. In my opinion, when teachers receive low ratings in regard to teacher empathy related dimensions of their instruction, including enthusiasm and individual rapport, it can become a tricky situation, especially enthusiasm. I mean, how can you make a teacher be more enthusiastic? I'm reminded how Mikichi said everyone can learn in this, and in this case, it might result in the teacher learning how to use their voice more dynamically. I think it may be easier for a teacher deficient in areas related to their rapport with students to improve. They can cultivate skills such as being more approachable and understanding to the needs of their students. I believe it is easier for teachers who receive low ratings in areas related to professional maturity to improve. The most important ally of an immature teacher is a mentor or other support staff. To give an example, a teacher who struggles with organizing assignments and or clarifying the learning objectives can look to a mentor when possible, or other colleagues with more experience to help them rectify their curriculum. Higher ed professors can also work more closely with instructional designers to help remedy this problem. From what I've read, I have concluded that teachers can take steps to improve their instruction. Some may improve drastically, some just a little. But before this incredibly powerful cycle of constant improvement can begin, educational institutions must start using class evaluations in a more constructive and positive way so that teachers are not hesitant to admit to a failure and get to the root of the problem.